No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you.
Good morning, Unity Renaissance.
Good morning. You all ready to rise up with us this morning?
Rise up. Rise up this morning. Rise up. Rise up and say, love is alive in my heart, in my life today. I can feel it, Spirit's in this place. I can see it shining on each face. Rise up this morning. Rise up and say, love is alive in our hearts, in our lives today. Here for each other, the way it's meant to be. Sisters and brothers, one great family. Rise up this morning. Rise up and say, love is alive everywhere in the world. When? Today.
Put your hands together, guys.
Rise up this morning. Rise up and say, love is alive in my heart, in my life, everywhere in the world, every face in this place. Love is alive.
Give yourselves a hand.
Way to sing it, you guys. Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Renaissance on this splendid sunny Sunday morning. Boy, it's nice to see the sun, isn't it? So it lifts your spirits. Hope you all are having a wonderful Valentine's weekend. We decorated for you today. Hello to all of you online as well. We're just beaming all sorts of love to you as well today. It's always fun when we just have an excuse to be extra loving to one another, isn't it? Well, unity is a positive path for spiritual living. We follow the teachings and the example of our way shower, Jesus, in seeking to more fully love ourselves, love God, and love one another. And from that beautiful, beautiful consciousness of love here in Unity. We honor all paths to God, all names for God, and all expressions of God. Each and every one of you, and each and every one of you watching online, and everybody you know for that matter, is an expression of God. And we know that when we really get that, when we connect with our own inner divinity and we behold that light in each other, that it just shines out ever more brightly into the world. Our vision at Unity Renaissance is together, a spiritually awakened world, living in peace, love, and joy. And we are manifesting that vision through our mission, which is together, we transform lives that transform the world. Let's begin our time of transformation this morning in prayer. I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath in, release and let go. Releasing whatever has come before this moment, knowing that right now you're in your right and perfect place. You are here, you are participating in this service, whether in this sanctuary or remotely, by divine appointment. And so on this weekend in which we celebrate love, when we tune in to those people who mean the most to us, we really feel that beautiful energy of connection for all of us who are here, all of those watching online, and indeed all of us in the world. We bless this time of fellowship together. We're so grateful for sharing our spiritual journey, learning and growing together. And we serve it all up for the glory of God. Thank you, sweet Spirit, and so it is. Amen.
All right. Did you know that you're in the right place at the right time? You're right where you're supposed to be.
All rise. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
All right, all you welcome souls, I invite you now to join me in our divinity salute as we turn to greet our neighbors with a bow, a handshake, or a hug. Together, the divine in me greets the divine in you. And we serve and celebrate together for the glory of God.
Good morning. I'm Sheila Downey, and it's my pleasure to be your platform host today and to share with you today's daily word, which is grace. And if you would share with me the affirmation, we'll say it together. I grow in God's grace. When a burden begins to feel lighter, when a happy moment becomes truly joyous, when the way a frustrating challenge suddenly becomes clear, I know I'm experiencing grace. Unity minister and author Eric Butterworth explains grace this way. God's desire to express completely through you and as you is so great that you never completely reap the harvest of error, and you always reap more good than you sow. This is grace. Grace is God's gift, constantly available to everyone willing to receive it. I look to God alone as the source of my good. I discover the guiding, healing, prospering presence of God everywhere I go, in everything I do, and in everyone I meet. This is inspired by John chapter 1, verse 16. From his fullness, we have all received grace upon grace. We have prayer chaplains to pray with you after the service. If you wish, you can find them in the chapel, which is just out to the left of the narthex past the bookstore. If you have a challenge or a heavy heart or a happy heart, it is our desire that you don't leave today without someone praying with you. And today our prayer chaplains are Lorraine and Deb. And if everyone else would please join them in standing while we sing the Lord's Psalm. Thank you.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
How often do we ask that question? For me, it's what would Paula do? There we go.
We're all in it together, it's true as they say. still confusion abounds as we seek the right way. And I wonder sometimes what this world's coming to, and try to imagine what would Jesus do. Saying all is well and it's as it should be. It's easy when things all are pretty and clean, but when I think things aren't happening as they're supposed to, I try to imagine what would Jesus do. What would he say about the homeless and hungry? What would he do about the beggar and thief? What would he say to the drunk and drug addict, or to the young girl selling herself on the street? Do you think he'd see heavenly perfection underneath their earthly shell? Through the veil of confusion to what is true, I believe that's what Jesus would do. Change the world without from within, and realize heavenly perfection underneath each earthly shell. Through the veil of confusion to what is true, I believe that's what Jesus would do. I believe that's what Jesus would do. What Jesus would do.
Nikhil.
When I was 9 years old, my family lived in Southern California. And that summer, we took a trip to visit my mother's side of the family in a small town, the small town of Jessup, Georgia. But there were a lot of surprises for me on that trip. I remember asking my parents, "What's that red stuff they put all over the dirt here?" And my mother laughed and said, "Oh, that's Georgia red clay." But the biggest surprises came from my Southern relatives, because they called my parents and my sister and me Yankees. I'd never been called a Yankee before. And it was clear pretty early on that was not a term of endearment. And they also seemed pretty obsessed with the fact that we didn't go to church and we were not born-again Christians like them. And so they said I had a lot to say about how important it was to be a good Christian. But I also noticed that they used racial slurs, and they would often make crude jokes and comments about black people. And even at the age of 9, that was very distressing to me. And I thought, if that's what it means to be a Christian, no thank you. Well, obviously something changed because here I am preaching to you on a Sunday morning. What happened is that I discovered unity. I found my type of Christianity. I found what works for me, resonates with my values and who I am. And you know, we each get to find our own path, don't we? But I think just as important is that I came to an understanding of Jesus that really resonated in my heart. And I came to see him not only as a master teacher, a master spiritual teacher, but also as this outspoken revolutionary, as a witty philosopher and a bold reformer. I had this image of Jesus almost as heroic, righting the wrongs and standing up for the little people. I was particularly drawn to his love, his message of love, because it wasn't about love just for some people. It was about love for all people. And you know, to this day, my heart leaps when I think about how he extended himself and very intentionally reached out to help the disenfranchised and the oppressed. Beautiful. So I came to this new understanding of Jesus, and some of it was really from a book that I read called Meeting Jesus Again for the First Time. How many of you read that book by Marcus Borg? That book changed my life. That is a fabulous, fabulous book. And in it, the author Marcus Borg says this. He says, Jesus saw the divinity in all people, and he challenged everyone to see the good, the God self, in all people with whom they associated. And this I had not realized until I read this book. He says, one of the hallmarks of Jesus' teachings was his pointed attacks on the purity system. This was the dominant theme in the Jewish social world during his time, and it was focused on creating a world with sharp social boundaries between pure and impure, righteous and sinner, whole and not whole, male and female, rich and poor, Jew and Gentile. Jesus deliberately replaced this core value of purity with compassion. With compassion. You see, he lived in a world where some people were privileged and others were not, where some people were actively shunned. And he set out to completely overturn this entire system by means including very purposefully spending time with the so-called outcasts and telling stories about them in which he extolled their virtues. And of course, emphasizing to his followers, love thy neighbor. And as we talked about last Sunday, your neighbor is everyone. So Jesus taught that we are all expressions of God in human form, deserving of love. And in so doing, he fully embraced and even embodied this most foundational teaching from the Hebrew Bible, found at the very beginning of it, in Genesis 1, verses 26-27. Then God said, let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion, in this case meaning stewardship, over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. Well, we've heard this before. This is a very familiar passage, and we tend to kind of gloss over it. But in fact, this is a power-packed message for today, with some deep implications for how we treat each other. So notice, first of all, that it's saying that humankind was made in the image and likeness of God. There are no qualifiers on that. Every single human being, black, brown, white, male, female, straight, gay, transgender, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Jew, every possible category you can think of, every single human being is made in the image and likeness of God. We're all made of God's stuff with equal value and dignity. All of us. And the second thing is, notice in here that it says that humankind is given dominion over the animals. It does not say that we're given dominion over each other. There's no one group that's superior to another. No group has a right to oppress or persecute or dominate or in any way serve injustice up to another group. As Harriet Tubman says in the movie Harriet, God don't mean people to own people. This is an incredibly powerful realization that actually when you look at this passage, this foundational passage in the Bible, that it is telling us that slavery and white supremacy and apartheid and all forms of racial and religious persecution are essentially crimes against God. Because God is in every person. Do you see that? Right there in the Bible. And in his book, Christ in Crisis, this wonderful book I'm enjoying so much, very provocative, Jim Wallace says this. He says, this passage right here is the theological undermining and biblical rebuke of not only white supremacy, but also any ethnic claim to superiority by any group. White nationalism is a sin against God, is an offense to the image of God in every and all of God's created human beings, and is antithetical to the teachings of Jesus. And he goes even further than that by calling out America's original sin. He says, the deliberately racialized dehumanization of indigenous people for their land and of stolen Africans to justify our greed in slavery was America's original sin. And any form of racial discrimination based on that original dehumanization in policing and incarceration, voting rights, education, economics, housing, the despoiling of land, and more, further perpetuates that sin. We got some work to do, don't we? You know, Jesus' harshest words were aimed at hypocrites. And I often think how horrified he would be if he came back and saw what some people who worship in his name are doing to oppress, to undermine, to punish, to brutalize, to even terrorize others, to demonize them in his name. I can imagine him saying, what part of love one another is unclear to you? Like, hello, it's not that complicated. You just have to be willing to do it. You just have to be willing to do it, to step up and live that way. You know, it's time for us to wake up. This is ours to do. This is ours to help lead. If we're serious about reclaiming Jesus, and I believe we are, but we take him as our way shower here and our role model. If we're serious about that, then we need to get much more intentional about loving the way he loved and putting that love into action. So what can we do? It's sort of an overwhelming question, but I have 3 small suggestions to get us started. And the first suggestion is to care. Care. You know, the opposite of love often is not hate, but indifference. In 2015, Pope Francis, in his Lenten message, actually said that rather than giving up chocolate or alcohol for Lent, we should give up our indifference to others. He said that when we're indifferent to others, that we start thinking that other people's pain are responding to helping the poor, responding to others in a time of need, or even being compassionate is somebody else's responsibility, not ours. He said, whenever our interior life becomes caught up in its own interests and concerns, there's no longer room for others, no place for the poor. God's voice is no longer heard. The quiet joy of his love is no longer felt. And the desire to do good fades. let us care enough to express our compassion in whatever way speaks to our hearts. The second thing we can do is to be kind. Be kind. Such a simple thing, but the world needs so much more of it. There's a simple act of giving others the benefit of a doubt, speaking kindly and acting kindly toward them. After the Super Bowl, Katie Sowers, I guess is her name, she's the assistant coach for the San Francisco 49ers. Anybody see her on the screen? She's an inspiring individual. She was the first woman and openly gay coach of a Super Bowl team. Go, Katie. And after the 49ers lost that game, she wrote this on her Twitter feed. She said, "I wanted this so bad for my guys, for my dad. Congrats to the Kansas City Chiefs," she wrote. "Please, as you comment to my players or staff members, remember we are all human. Be kind. This loss has unfortunately reminded me of the hatred in this world." You've seen it on social media, you know. And while we're at it in that regard, I invite you to remember that every initial in LGBTQ, XYZ, whatever you want to add on to that all those initials represent people made in the image of God. Treat them that way. And the third thing that we can do is to be curious. Be curious. Take an interest in, spend time with people who are different from you, whose lives are different from yours. And I have to say here how much I cherish our diversity at Unity Renaissance. I wish we had even more. Bring it on. It's so awesome because I learned so much from each of you. Each person brings so many beautiful gifts. Take that time to get to know others. Get involved in different ways here. Meet people whose life path is different from yours. A beautiful way to build bridges. We can also be curious about the past. This is a very important time for us to be aware of history and allow ourselves to be inspired by those who came before us. Along those lines, I ran across a very inspiring story this last week about a man named Charles Bess. Charles Bess, that's what he looks, he's 82 years old now, that's what he looks like today on the right. But in 1960, Charles Bess was a busboy at the Woolworths in Greensboro, North Carolina. But remember what Woolworths is for the younger ones? They're a 5 and dime store. I can't believe I have to explain that, but anyway. He was a busboy, and on February 1st of 1960, 4 young African-American men who were students, they were freshmen at the university nearby, they came in and they sat down at the lunch counter at the Woolworths in Greensboro, North Carolina. Well, people of color were not supposed to sit at the lunch counter, much less were they allowed to eat or drink there. And so these 4 young men were asked to leave, but they didn't. They'd been inspired by Martin Luther King's nonviolent protests, and they stayed. And even though the waitresses continued to ignore them, each time one would walk by, they would very calmly ask for a cup of coffee. They stayed for an hour until closing time, and then they left. And Charles Bess was there. That's him with the red arrow pointing to his cap there. He's very proud of this photo. I read this article in a magazine called The Bitter Southerner. But in any event, he was back there and he said, "I was paying attention, but I didn't say anything." But he was ecstatic inside. Can't you just imagine how ecstatic he was? He was so excited. He said, "I always thought blacks and whites and people of different races should be able to sit down and eat together." When he went home that day, he told everybody about what had happened. Well, the next day, those 4 African-American young men came back, and this time they brought with them 20 black students. They stayed for many hours that day. And the next day, 60 of them came. And the day after that, 300 came. And a lot went on during that time, and the Greensboro sit-ins occurred in other places as well. But on July 25th, 1960, the lunch counter at the Woolworths of Greensboro, North Carolina, was quietly desegregated. And other places as well. But the significance for Charles is that he and 3 other co-workers were the first ones invited to sit at the counter and have lunch. He remembers that he had meatloaf and green beans, and he thinks potato salad. And he said it didn't take long. It was only about 10 minutes. He said, but I had a good feeling. I knew that things were going to change. You know, it's so inspiring. Things have changed, and yet we still have a way to go. I'm sure there have been times in the civil rights movement, other important times in history, pivotal times in history, when people began to feel discouraged or depressed or even hopeless. But they didn't give up. They didn't give in. They kept going. And now it's for us to continue on. I am a firm believer in what Victor Hugo once said. He said, there is nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And I believe the idea that diversity is not America's biggest problem, but its greatest gift, is an idea whose time has come. I believe that true equality of representation and rights and opportunity, is an idea whose time has come. And I believe that an idea that to be a Christian means to heed the radical call to love that Jesus issued, radical, inclusive love, that is an idea whose time has come. You know, the wonderful Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. So let us remember that as we carry on toward greater justice, doing our part to care, to be compassionate, to be kind, to be curious, to love as Jesus loved, and see God in everyone. Let's turn to our meditation. I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath in, release and let it go. Feel God's grace upon you in this very moment. Feel God's love within you. Indeed, know that Spirit is who you most truly are. I invite you to allow yourself to feel this great sense of peace and love washing over you, touching every cell of your being, filling you with light. As you turn your attention to your heart space, to that inner sanctuary at the core of your being, hold in your mind and heart the question, how can I be more caring and kind and curious? How can I love more fully and inclusively as Jesus did? What is mine to do to make this a more united and compassionate world? Ask the questions and listen for your answer in the silence. take a moment to remember that any time we need guidance, we can simply turn within and find it there. For whatever faith or reassurance, guidance, strength, courage we need lies within us. And for this truth, for knowing that we have all of these powers to bring forth into our world, we are so grateful. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. And so it is. Amen. Now is the time in our service for the sharing of our love offering, our financial gifts in support of this community, and our mission of transforming lives that transform the world. Just as a quick reminder, if you'd like, you can give your gift via your smartphone. Text the word GIVE to 540-418-1228. It'll get you all set up, makes it nice and easy. As you're preparing your gift, it's my great joy to welcome up Karen Gaudette, who's going to share with us the difference Uni Renaissance has made in her life. Please welcome Karen.
Good morning. As Reverend Paula has introduced me, I'm Karen Gaudette, and I am a new member to this church. I joined in November. But Unity is a new experience to me. I've just been exposed to it in the last couple of years. My dear friend Paula, who I consider my sister from another mother, introduced me to this church. She had been exposed to it early in her life. I was raised as a Baptist in the rural area of Virginia, and then grew up as an adult and raised my children in the Baptist church. And even though I did learn things and I grew along the way, Unity to me is like a breath of fresh air. I have truly enjoyed it and I love it. And when I first was introduced to it, I thought it was new. I was like, this is something cool and new, and come to find out it's 130 plus years old. So where have I been? Unity, where have you been? So for me, it's been a wonderful experience. It gives me a sense of freedom. It's practical, and it's short, and it's sweet. I just love the messages that I receive. It's like a nugget of something that I can take with me and remember and keep with me and apply and practice. One of the things I love with the word freedom when it comes to Unity is that in my former experiences, it was a lot of memorizing Bible verses and all of that, and I was terrible at that. I was like, what is wrong with you? What are you not getting? So I'm so glad to be free of that now. And that Unity, it helps to truly transform. It's always evolving. I feel like I'm always growing, and there's always an element of surprise for me. I mean, every time I feel like I get something from it. And I equated it to thinking as receiving a new gift to unwrap every time I come to this church, or when I go even to the Unity website, or I'm a frequent flyer with the Silent Unity. I'm always needing a prayer. I'm like, I need to pray for somebody or myself or whatever, but it's just so many resources that I did not know existed. And it's been a treasure. It's been wonderful for me. And also, personally, I've been liberated from a really intense sense of fear. Unfortunately for me, I did experience a great loss in my young adult life at 20. My mom passed away, and it just shook my world up, and I had this fear, and I still continue to struggle with that, but I feel stronger since I've been a part of Unity. But I used to just worry so much and all of that, and I feel liberated, and it's such a relief to experience life that way, to be free of that. And my God, at the my former years was like God was like the Wizard of Oz, this big booming voice, and you had to pray to God. I didn't realize I didn't quite fully understand. Every now and then I would feel powerful that way, but now I feel more powerful that God is in me and that he's with me everywhere I go. I don't have to walk with such fear. And it's really made a difference in my life just knowing that. And I know that God is my cheerleader. He's on my side. He's pushing for me instead of me saying, God, please give me this, give me that. It's like, no, he wants you to have these things. You should expect these things. So it's been really a wonderful experience to transition and transform, actually, into that phase. Like I said, the resources are powerful. I love that Unity uses other tools other than just the Bible. They use books and resources that are available in our library. And also at my favorite website, Amazon. I love having an excuse to go to Amazon. So it's been a wonderful experience in that way. And finally, I like that Unity is not about a lot of rules. The one rule that I find that Unity wants you to do is to love other people, love yourself most importantly, and just to help gain that understanding of accepting yourself. And because of that, I have given myself permission to be my authentic, true self. And it's a struggle with that because I feel like I'm breaking rules. I'm like, can I really do this? Can I really set boundaries? Can I really say no? So it's been powerful and wonderful for me. And I'm just grateful for all of this whole experience. I'm grateful to be here. I actually used to live about 1.5 miles from here for over 25 years, 30 years really, in this Greenbrier area. And then I moved away and I discovered Unity. I moved to Pongo area. And I don't care. I get up and I'm so excited to come here every chance that I can get. So I'm so grateful for that. And I'm just grateful to Myrtle and Charles Fillmore for, discovering and creating this ministry. And I'm so grateful to Reverend Paula and her team and all the family here. So thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be here today. Yeah.
Bravo. No, Rose. Hey, if you see Karen and her husband Anthony, be sure to congratulate them. They have a brand new grandson as of last week, so they're celebrating that today. Thank you for being here. All right, I invite you to hold your gift in your hand. Let's bless it. Please join me now in our offertory blessing. Together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Give and it's given back to you.
Give and it's given back to you. Give and it's given back to you. Press down, shaking it in and running over. Back to you, sometimes I lay under the moon and I thank God I'm breathing. And I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day. to get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day. Children will play one day, 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 one
Scott, let's hear for her. Don Brady. Welcome down to our music team.
Woo! Well, hello, my loves. How nice to see you both, my sisters. Just take a moment to turn to gratitude within, feeling this wonderful, wonderful sense of celebration today. We're so grateful for these gifts shared in love and generosity. We're so grateful for the givers. And now we send these gifts forth to do God's work in the world through and as us. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. Thanks, you guys. And we have a special celebration today. I'm very excited to share with you that today we are celebrating 12 new members of Unity Renaissance. Woo! So, as you probably know, there are certain benefits that come from being a member. You're allowed to vote on whatever comes up at community forums and the annual meeting, that kind of thing. You're able to vote on major financial decisions as well. You get a wonderful 10% discount in our bookstore. But I truly believe the most important and significant aspect of becoming a member is that this is a chance for people to say, this is my spiritual home. It's what it means to you personally and what it means to us as a community. That for whatever path you've been on in your life, wherever you've searched, that this place is the one where you want to be a member. We feel so honored by that. It's such a sacred and beautiful time when we get a chance to celebrate each other. And so what I'd like to do is just, call forth our new members. I'm going to call them up one at a time so that you can put a face with the name. And first one I know, Mary Anisi is not here. She's away for Valentine's weekend with her fiance, Russell Williams. So Michelle Dandy, please come up. That's Michelle. Yippee. Now I get to put a name with a face. I'm going to have you stand right here. Thank you. Deborah Farrell. Here's Deborah. Woohoo. Nick Flores, saxophone man. Paul Jenkins and Tanisha Jenkins. Tanisha, come on out. Just stand right here, right along there. You're doing great. Let's see, David Kennedy. End of the row there, my friend. Gail Kent. Gail, I know I saw you here. There you are. Gail comes all the way from Newport News to be here. Very pleased by that. Tamala Lovett. Are you here, Tamala? Come on up. John Myers. John Myers and Liz Myers. Come on up, you two. And as I mentioned, Russell Williams is away. I'm going to scoot down just a little bit so we can sort of get you all. Aren't they beautiful? Oh, man. They're so awesome. All right. And now I would like all of you wonderful new members to take the following pledge. As a member of Unity Renaissance, will you live in accord with the universal principles of love and truth as exemplified by our way shower, Jesus Christ, and further the work of Unity Renaissance with your active interest, love, and support? Will you commit to being an active and positive presence here, to accepting both yourself and others in an unconditional way, and to seeing all people as unique manifestations of the one source, God the Good? Will you do what you can to support yourself and others in finding greater peace and harmony within, and join with them to create greater peace and harmony in the world? If so, say, I will. And now I invite all of you to join me in taking this pledge to support our new members. Will you support these new members of our spiritual family as they continue their spiritual growth, celebrating and honoring them as unique expressions of the one power and one presence? Will you help them to realize their oneness with God each moment of each day and support them in finding greater levels of peace and harmony within themselves while joining with them to create greater peace and harmony in the world? If so, say, I will. To all of our new members, it is our joy to bestow upon you today 2 gifts. One is a name tag from Unity Renaissance. It's your official badge showing that you are a member here. And the other is a white rose that symbolizes your unfolding spiritual awareness. So we're going to take just a few moments to give those to each of you. Little traveling music there, Richard. You can start from the other end, Jess. Thanks. Congratulations, you, Michelle. God be with you. Congratulations, Deborah. Please be with you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Please be with you.
I behold the Christ in you. You're the light from God I see.
Please be with you.
I can see a great peace too. I can see you well and free. I behold the Christ in you. I can see this as you walk. I see this in all you do. I can see this as you talk. I behold God's love expressed. I can see you filled with power. I can see you ever blessed. See Christ in you hour by hour. I behold the Christ in you. I can see this perfect one, led by God in all you do. I can see God's work is done.
Please join me now as we give our new members our Christ blessing. To our beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful, shining new members of Unity Renaissance. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ in you. We love you. We really, really love you. Thank you so much for being here. We'll have lunch after this service. You may be seated. Oh, how blessed are we? This is the time in our service when we welcome those who are new to Unity Renaissance. If you're here today for the first, second, or third time, we invite you to raise your hand nice and high, holding up the appropriate number of fingers, 1, 2, or 3 for your first, second, or third visit. Welcome to you guys down there. We got a bunch over here. Keep your hands up till they come around. If you're here for the first time today, you'll find in that bag they're giving you, there's a little card. Fill the card out, take it in the bookstore, and you get a free CD that's a copy of a previous service. On your second time here, you get 2 CDs. One is of positive, uplifting music from Empower Music and Arts. The other is Sacred Unity Recordings. And on your third time here, you receive a copy of the Daily Word. Hey, welcome to all of our newcomers today. We're delighted to see you. We look forward to seeing you again.
This Tuesday is the 3rd session of Tom Baker's class. It is, there's Tom.
You're doing a great job, man. Powerful stuff.
Matters of the Heart, and it's available in person or online. You can still watch it online even if you're not here, and if you've missed it, you can watch it on Friday if you missed it on Tuesday. So it's great. So sign up on the hall wall for both either in person or online.
Doing a great job there, Tom. Loving it. And yeah, as Sheila was saying, if you sign up on the hall wall, even if you can't turn into the live broadcast on Tuesday, they'll send the link out after the fact and you can watch the recording of it. We have an exciting event coming up on Friday evening, February the 28th. We're going to be hosting a free screening of it's a shortened version of a documentary called We Cried Power. And it really traces the history of the Poor People's Campaign as led by Martin Luther King Jr., but also that is taking shape now under the leadership of Reverend Dr. William Barber. We've been invited to host it here. I'm very excited about that, hear about some opportunities to get involved if that speaks to our hearts. That'll be at 7 o'clock on Friday, February 28th, of course, free admission. Please join us if that speaks to you. It's going to be a great night. And now over to Richard for a spotlight.
Yay! Our music team and our choir is a very special treat coming up for you guys on Good Friday, which is April 10th. We've got a little miniature 1-hour production of Godspell that we're working very hard on here Sundays after church and rehearsal. And I would like to reach out to anyone who with any theater experience, who in audio, especially audio and sound, lights, camera, and doing set decorations, anything like that you've had any theater experience in. If you would see me and Quintina, there she is, me and Quintina, our head of production here, and let us know if you'd like to be involved in the Godspell. That's Good Friday, April 10th. It'll be great, and you'll have something to look forward to.
Thank you, Richard. I'm excited to be offering a workshop on Saturday morning, or actually Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. On the 29th, Leap Day. This will be a workshop called Finding Yourself in Transition, based on the book of that name by Robert Brummett. It's for anyone who's navigating major change in your life or even just having a difficult time. Really a beautiful way of moving through the different stages of a transition, whatever it may be, job, relationship, health, whatever, moving through the ending, the void, and the new beginning. So if you're interested in that, I invite you to sign up on the hall wall. I'm asking for a $30 love offering for that, but no one will be turned away. We'll have you bring a bag lunch as well, and we'll sit and have a working lunch together for that workshop. So sign up if you're interested.
This Friday is our chili dinner. But the most exciting part is it's the men's auction. So it's so much fun. It's probably my favorite event. So please come out. We're still looking for donations, which you can drop off this week in the form of appliances, art. If it's art, though, and it's a big piece of art, just please leave a picture so the auctioneer can show that.
Same
during
with appliances.
Yeah, true.
The big things.
But bicycles, antiques, you name it, we've had it. So please drop them off this week and come out on Friday. The youth YOUers are looking for donations for their part of the auction, which is desserts. So if you could bring those, their portion goes to their retreat coming up in the spring, right? Spring.
Their spring
And
rally.
if you have any questions, you can contact Ed Rosequist.
So be sure to take advantage during the week, bringing in your items of value, and you can put them in classroom 5 back there. It's going to be a great auction, one of the most fun events of the year. We are within just throwing distance now of having enough funds to purchase an automated external defibrillator. I think we're just a few $100s short of our collection to purchase one of those. They cost $1,200. We're right at about $900 right now, which is really awesome. And we know that they can save lives, that the idea is that if someone were to have, heaven forbid, but if someone were to have a heart attack or some kind of heart problem here, that this is a device that can keep them alive until help arrives. So we're very committed to getting that. Appreciate all the donations we've already received. If you would like to make a contribution, see me after the service today or you can also give it to Paul Mitchum waving at you there from the back. There's Paul. All right. Hey, just one final thing I thought worth mentioning. This lovely lady here beside me, Sheila Downey, has just enrolled in ministerial school. She just started taking classes at the urban school. I just want to applaud that. She's doing a super job here. We're all pulling for you. All right. Well, let's stand together now and welcome our children. I'll take it. Thanks.
We are walking in the light of God. 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 We are walking, walking, we are walking,
while I visit with the kiddos. Hey, I want to recognize you too. We had some extra roses. Lisa Carter and B. Clinton, appreciating them for their beautiful work with our young people. We love ya. Who would like to share what you learned today? Got something to say? All right.
We read a book today, and it was about a little fish named Swimmy. He was working together with other fishies, and then he was working with them, and then by looking like another big giant fish, he scared the other big fishes away so they don't eat them.
Oh, it was taking care of those little fish, scaring away the bad ones. Who else? Good. Jack Elliott. My gosh. Look how big you're getting. All right. What would you like to say? Anything? I'm sorry. Did I throw you off, sweetheart? Okay. Did you have something you want to say? Okay.
Working together, everybody wins.
Working together, everybody wins. I love it. Did you want to say something, sweetie?
Today we learned about wisdom, and we have 3 words, and the first word is receive, and receiving is basically like just thinking and listening to God's voice and meditating.
Yeah, so wisdom by receiving God's insight and guidance. Beautiful. I love that. So profound. Eva.
And the next one was thinking and feeling about the message that God has given us and really taking that into our perspective. And the last one was acting on with confidence on our daily lives on that day.
Oh, Ava. So beautiful. All right, we're good. Teens, what you got to say today? Hello, Isabel.
Today we talked about how the different people you spend time with and how they make you feel.
Nice. Good. Paying attention. How people make you feel. All right. Well, thank you, children, for sharing with us. And gosh, you're all just so lovely. We appreciate you being Lisa. You did a beautiful job here. We're very, very grateful. Very grateful. Let's stand together now and join hands for our prayer for protection, followed by our peace song. Together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us.